Well, thank you, Nico, for your outstanding introductory remarks, and I'd like to welcome everybody to our beautiful and friendly city. It's my pleasure today to start off with a few minutes of introductory remarks, and then I get to introduce a very exciting speaker following me. First of all, I'm delighted to welcome everybody here to the University of Oregon's first ever Urbanism Next conference. We are a welcoming city, and in Portland, I want to make it very clear that we celebrate participants from all over, from every city, from every state, and from every country. Over the next 3 days, you're going to hear from experts across the public, private, academic, and nonprofit sectors who are thinking about and planning for the impacts that emerging technological innovations such as autonomous vehicles, e-commerce, and the sharing economy are having and will continue to have on cities, not just Portland, but cities everywhere around the globe. There's no better time, in my opinion, to be gathering to discuss this issue than now, because change is happening at a much faster rate than we could have possibly imagined. As was mentioned, just last month, the Arizona Department of Transportation granted Waymo a permit to operate as a transportation network company using fully automated vehicles. And just to underscore that point, they're slated to be on the road in Phoenix later this year. And that means in a matter of just a few months, you could hail a ride and have a car arrive with no driver. Before we even get there, though, we know a lot. We know about the impacts that we're already seeing as a result of the rise of e-commerce. For example, in the year 2000, e-commerce accounted for less than 1% of total retail sales in the United States. By 2015, it had gone all the way up to 9%. And estimates indicate that 20% of all retail sales will be attributed to e-commerce as soon as the year 2019. That is a revolutionary shift. The retail sector has also lost jobs. It's lost 65,000 jobs, even as the economy as a whole has added over 2 million jobs. As e-commerce continues to gain ground, we're going to see impact not only on jobs, but also on other areas as well, like land use and urban design and transportation. Goods are stored in warehouses, and then they're delivered to consumers. So what are our cities going to look like as the demand for bricks and mortar retail space declines, but the demand for warehouse space increases potentially dramatically? And what happens to our road network as the number of deliveries increases, again, potentially dramatically? Now let's throw the sharing economy into the mix as well. According to a very recent study published by the Metropolitan Area Planning Council in Boston, ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft are actually contributing to traffic congestion, not reducing it. These researchers estimated that over 15% of all ride-hailing trips in Boston are adding cars to the roads during peak commuter hours. They also estimated that 12% of trips are actually substituting for what would have been transit trips. In addition, they found that only 1/5 of customers who participated in their study opted for a true ride-sharing option like Uber Pool. The majority of people still chose to ride alone. Add those additional delivery trucks to the equation, and that is a recipe for even more congestion, potentially. There's a vigorous debate over whether these technological changes are leading to better cities or just to more problems. Perhaps that's not even the right question. Maybe the question is, how do we get technology right? That's the question about the future that is up there on the slide that I think most of us agree looks somewhat dystopian, or a more optimistic future along the lines of what Nico laid out. It's about getting the technology right, and that's what is at the heart of this conference today. This question, I should point out, is not a new one for the city of Portland. All the way back in the 1980s, the region was one of the first to bring back a technology, light rail. Over a decade ago, we were among the first to bring back the modern streetcar, and that again revitalized neighborhoods and expanded transportation needs locally, transportation choices rather, locally. Portland was also the birthplace of one of the very first examples of the sharing economy, modern car sharing. We have a long history of transportation innovation to serve more people with different needs, and there is no reason why that level of innovation could not continue into the future. Technology is value neutral. It's important that we remember that. But cities and people are not value neutral. It's our job in the city of Portland, and I would argue it is the job of government leaders and community leaders all around the country and around the globe to make it easier for the innovators of these technologies to advance our shared values. Local governments have and will continue to play an important role as innovation laboratories. Local governments manage more of the transportation system than either the federal government or the state government, and it's on our diverse streets and curbs and neighborhoods where people live, work, and go to school that new transportation technologies must succeed. So the burden is on us to help those innovators imbue those values. I'd like to share with you 3 potential principles for increasing the likelihood that we do technology right. Number 1, lead with values. Technology is a means to an end, and the end for us should be shared values, achieving our Vision Zero objectives, advancing equity and healthy communities while cutting pollution and advancing our climate goals. Second, ensure that the technology transition is a just transition. What do I mean by that? Too often, those who benefit first and the most from technology are those who are the most advantaged in our community. We will know we're doing technology right when those who have historically been served the least benefit the most from those new technologies. Let's dedicate ourselves to making sure that equity is more than a buzzword. Let's make sure that it is a measurable outcome as we go about the path of doing technology right. Number 3, make it easy for people and companies to do the right thing. Portland's Smart Automated Vehicle Initiative, otherwise known as SAVI, is designed to reward technologies that advance our values, such as carrying more people, especially underserved people, in fewer vehicles that are powered by clean, renewable energy. SAVI creates a clear path for companies to partner with city government to test and implement new technologies that serve our common values. SAVI is prioritizing full miles over so-called empty miles and providing clean, safe, and affordable trips to consumers. Affordable transportation, along with affordable housing and access to opportunity, are key elements of affordable living in our community. When cities and companies want to up their game on sustainability and green building, as often as not, it's a Portland company that they hire to make it happen. I'm saying this because I want to be very clear that economic prosperity and economic development strategies are not at all at crossroads with the adaptation of these new technologies. By doing it right, we can actually merge economic prosperity with the development of these new technologies. Portland, for example, took the risk to require green buildings. And for the last 15 years, our city has reaped the disproportionate economic, environmental, and livability benefits from the expertise that was originally developed right here in Portland. Now Portland is leading the way on new mobility by providing a clear path for innovators to test new services that advance our values. By setting a large and collaborative table with government, the private sector, and universities, our region intends to be the place where the world looks to new mobility solutions that expand access to opportunities, saves lives, cuts climate pollution, and expands livability for all of us. It's through partnerships that we're going to make the greatest strides, and that's one of the key values in this conference today, partnership. While local governments can be the innovation labs, state and federal governments are critical partners in creating value-based frameworks that reward efficiency. Whoever you are, the public sector, the private sector, nonprofit sector, or academic, I ask each of you to ask and help answer a key question of how do we work together to do technology right? Test these principles and let us know how they hold up. Thank you again for joining us in Portland to share your values, your talents, and your wisdom.